silence on the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so I am going to start our meetings from now on, with reading the mission statement also. The mission of Tyler County Schools is to provide student-centered learning opportunities that ensure all students will learn to their potential and master the skills, ethical behaviors, and attitudes needed to be successful citizens in a 21st century economy. I think that's always something we should remember. Okay, roll call. All board members are present. Okay, we are going to skip executive session for the moment, and we are going to go to presentations. Julie Bolin, free library box, would you like to speak?
Good evening. I wanted to ask the board's permission to put a little free library up next to the little free pantry on the Board of Education property. And Tyler County 4-H will maintain it and make sure, hopefully, that it doesn't get destroyed.
And I would ask the board to approve that request.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Can you explain what it is? I mean, it sounds
So
really neat.
it's so the Tyler County Library was donated a little free library from Community Resources. And so basically it's a little box with a roof, and people can put books in and take books out. So they wouldn't go to the library. These would be for other types of books. And actually, we already had a donation from the Family Support Center of some children's books that we'd like to put in it.
That's great.
That will be nice. Okay, all those in favor of allowing the extension office to put a library box on our property out by the Staley Green Center, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passed. The motion has passed. We will go to Wetzel County Technology. That would be Mr. Cooper.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Got some handouts for you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So it kind of came through the grapevine, and it's something that I've been meaning to do, and I talked to your CTE director on the regular basis, and we kind of go back and forth and put ideas back and forth to each other. But a couple of my teachers mentioned somebody ought to go talk to the board and let them know what's going on. And I'm like, that's a grand idea since we have a few students from Tyler County. And so this is basically the presentation I did at my board meeting two meetings ago. So, and this is information that I share with them because I'm excited about it because it's growing. Up to this year, I started 1 year ago in July, so I've been there for a full year. We had welding, health sciences, and electrical. And as you can see on that list, we kind of expanded really quick. And everything is going, as smooth as can be expected. So we have welding, which is a 2-year program, and our students get about 12 or 13 college credit hours for free through Northern with that. We partner with them to get welding 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's all transcripted on a West Virginia Northern transcript, so that if they decide to go to Hobart, Washington State, or some sort of welding technical college, they already have those credit hours. Or if they want to go straight out in the workforce, that it's still there. That nobody's going to take those. Our electrical program is one that Tyler County is benefactor of. You guys have 6 students right now. And so you have 2 seniors, this is their 2nd year, then you have 4, actually you have 3 juniors and another senior that's in the AM class. We have the seniors just coming for the morning class to get some experience, but the other 3, knock on wood, they'll be there next year as well. And I think there's 18 students in that AM class. Mr. Hearn doesn't know when to say no, and he told me today, he said every student is doing exceptionally well in there. So that's kind of something that we've grown this year. We had 10 booths and we went ahead and built 10 more in there. And the afternoon class is the ones that are going to be wiring all the booths up. So right now we just have frames, and their job is going to be to wire up those booths from the electrical on the other side. They're also going to Easy Care tomorrow. They've been installing lights in Easy Care for the last 2 years, so they're upgrading their light system. And they're kind of our handymen around the tech center. Whenever we have an electrical issue, what better experience than to let them come out and fix or add electric or fix a light switch or add a new light fixture into the building. And then we have health sciences. That was kind of we didn't know what to do, but we partnered with Marshall. And we went to just the advanced medical as the completer pathway, and these students get Marshall classes for free, along with the knowledge base of the health sciences world, because it's not just for nurses, it's not just for doctors, it's not just for PAs. The health sciences field is so wide. So we try to give them a basic knowledge and then allow them to take as many college classes through Marshall as they can handle. So this is the first year with that, and I think we went from about 4 kids last year, we've got almost 20. So we grew exponentially in that class, and we started allowing sophomores as well. So they can be in that program for 3 years, and you can just figure how much money they're saving their parents by getting classes through Marshall starting their sophomore year. So we're really excited about that. We added drafting, a 1-year program, and also a robotics and drone program. So they can do like the drafting program their sophomore year, their junior year. I kind of sold it to the sophomores that, you come and do the drafting program or the robotics, and then you want to do welding or electrical, you get one of those seats first off. They get first bid on that if they come in and do what they need to do. And then the one thing I'm really excited about is the Pro Start Baking and Pastry. Right now, every day in the back of our building, we have a brand new kitchen being built. A couple weeks ago, we just had a dirt floor. They poured the concrete, got all the drains, everything in there. Now they're walls. So each day, you go in there at the end of the day and you see these new walls. But that's a program that is we have a chef that is the teacher in charge of both of those programs. The baking and pastries in the morning, and then the Pro Starts in the afternoon. The baking and pastry is more, I call it like the beginner class. So each one of those classes are a 1-year program. So my vision is you come do the baking and pastry, maybe your junior year, and then you kind of graduate and you go into the restaurant management, the Pro Start. So right now it's almost like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they'll come. That's same to go along with that, the kitchen. The kids that are in the program right now, they're excited because they see it happening. They can see the building and the future coming along. So that's a program that, I don't think Moftai has, that I know that we'll have some seats available for kids that would definitely be interested. And once it's built, it will be one of the nicest culinary kitchens statewide in the state of West Virginia. So I'm really excited about that. And then we're offering the options. And the other one that I'm extremely excited about is Grow Your Own. The Grow Your Own is a program that the state came out with about 4 years ago to try to get more educators. It's kind of hard if you don't have someone dedicated just to that program. We hired a teacher last year, and she came to us with a fire of a new teacher. She's been in it for about 15 years, and you would think this is her first year teaching. She's so excited. She's got 10 ladies in her class. We're partnered with Glenville State, and she actually is the teacher on record for the 4 education classes. So she teaches in-house the 4 education classes, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and then they take various classes through Glenville to get them prepared for college. So their senior year, they should be coming out and teaching in one of our schools in the area for 60% of their salary. So these juniors that we have now, so in 5 years, they'll be out in the school systems teaching. And it's a wonderful program that those kids, I walk back there and they're just smiling, they're just sponges eating all this up. So with that program, they have to go out into the classroom and get so many hours each semester. But it's exciting because these kids want to come back. And if you want to be a teacher, this is the way to do it, because for one, we're saving them and their parents a lot of money in the long run with those classes. And all those classes, if they want to go to West Lib, they want to go to WU, they want to go to Marshall, wherever it may be, all those classes will absolutely transfer. And that's something that I think in the future I'd absolutely like to get you guys involved with as well, just because, and I don't know, I haven't talked to Mrs. Miller or Mr. Hiley, but I think that's something that we don't have enough teachers out there, and anything that we can do to help ourselves, whether it be Wetzel, Tyler, Dodd, wherever, get more teachers in the seats and teaching the children, that's something that I think will be definitely a step in the right direction to fill some of these shoes for the folks getting ready to retire. Because I know that's one thing that we definitely are missing. So you can see the breakdown there of the kids. We're predominantly junior heavy, and I think we'll end up seeing those sophomore numbers rise, and obviously that will transpire next year with those seniors. So right now we've got about 94 kids. And you can see you guys have 7. I said there's 6 in the electrical. You guys had a student that transferred in from Valley. She was already going to be enrolled in the health science program. And I talked to Mrs. Miller and Mrs. McCoy, and they graciously allowed her to come over since she already had classes set up through Marshall. And so that's the one kind of odd student that's not in just the electrical, but she's doing wonderful. All the students are doing wonderful. So, and I just attached some of the flyers when I go to the schools. This is kind of what the spiel I give the kids. I let them look at this handout. It tells all the classes. Some of it may need a little bit more cleaning up since this was at the end of last year, but we offer OSHA 10, OSHA 30, CPR, first aid. My welding instructor is now Safeland trained. He's a Safeland trainer. So these kids, the 6 students that are in the electrical program, they're going to have OSHA 10, OSHA 30, probably the Safeland, CPR, first aid, stop the bleed, and anything else I can throw at them to make them more hireable once they graduate, whether they want to go to college. Oh, and yes, I forgot, and they get forklift trained. Mr. Starkey's also a forklift instructor. So we were able to get a forklift donated for about a month, and we did all the training on that. So it's where I say it's my final resting spot, because I love walking through the door. I love getting up every day, and I love going in there and seeing those kids. And right now we do have kids. We have 10 students there that are there all day. We have a fully certified math teacher, fully certified English teacher, special ed teacher. So we offer math, English, and civics is zoomed in from Magnolia. And we also have a natural resources class that's zoomed in from Valley for science for some of these kids that need a science class. So we have 10 kids that are there all day, and it's, they've owned it. It's their building. So it's a really nice opportunity for any student. Our son is actually going there, partaking in the electrical. He never talks about school. Last night he was like, "We get a wire today. We're doing two light switches." I'm like,
You showed us a picture.
yeah, oh yeah, he had. I talked to the principal because he shouldn't have had his phone out. But he's like, when are we getting boots? We also, I get all the kids that are in electrical and welding. The boot trailer from Bridgeport comes, and they get a brand new pair of steel-toed work boots. And he's excited about the work boots. And it's really neat to see the kids gain that knowledge and are excited to come through the door. And that's something that, you don't necessarily always see in an English class or history class. And it's a shame, because those are also really valuable courses. But seeing these kids, and last year we had signing day there at the end of the year for the Laborers Union. Laborers Union signed 2 of my seniors They went to Mineral Wells, got trained for 30 days, went to the training facility. 30 days after graduation, they were out on the job making a very nice wage. So the opportunities at the tech centers, not just ours, but Mavtai, all of them all over the place. I absolutely would encourage, any kid to get an opportunity to do that. This is your invitation. If you ever want to stop out and take a tour, I will gladly show you around. There's nothing that makes my heart bigger than walking around and bragging on my teachers and my students. And it's, like I said, we have so many new teachers and new faces out there. We went last year from about 34, 35 kids to 94. So we have absolutely grown, and and one of my teachers said, we're gonna have 150 next year. So, if the Pro Start comes through and the kids see what we have, and the drafting and the robotics, I would put my drafting robotics shop up with anyone in the state. We have 6 or 7 laser engravers, 5, I think, 3D printers. I mean, it's just amazing the technology that these kids have at their fingerprints. And working together, the drafting instructor is going to be working with the plasma and the welding. So the kids are going to have so many different skills that they'll be able to go out and sell themselves with. So,
Great.
what questions do you have for me? Because I know my wife's like, you're talking way too much.
Robotics.
The problem is when you love what you do, like I could go on forever, but I'm not going to keep you long. I know you guys have
Your
things.
robotic classes, do you take them to Fairmont State for the big competition over there? Did any of the students go to Fairmont State for the big competition?
The robotics that we said, this is our first year
Okay.
with the robotics, so we're baby stepping it, but I'm wanting to get, since our 4 feeder schools have robotics instructors, I'd like to have an in-house robotics competition at the center, ran by and let the youngsters come in and see what we have to offer and kind of give them that opportunity to come in and see what we have.
So I've heard parents talk about going to Fairmont State.
Yeah.
They say it's awesome. I mean, they never dreamed that kids in high schools could build that type of stuff and display it.
The stuff that they're able to do, I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing. So.
I'm glad you brought up the union
Oh.
students.
And that's-
I heard those two by one of your instructors.
We try to get any kind of labor union, any kind of, anybody in to talk to our kids to open there. We had Caterpillar in last year, and there's a large facility out on the interstate in between Fairmont and Bridgeport, and they're wanting folks to come over and work. So, and a couple of our kids are excited about maybe having that opportunity. So
And just like I went in my last, do you have tours and invite the middle school, get involved with the middle schools to get those students'
yes,
attention?
we actually had we had about 100 8th graders last year that came their first period. Now they're back in their schools, but we were actually kind of touching base with all that. But yeah, we'll bring in the youngsters, that way they can see what we have to offer, especially now that we have a lot of the newer programs that we didn't have before.
Tech Express.
So last year we did something called the Tech Express with the 3rd graders. We had all of the CTE teachers in Wetzel County have a station, and so the kids went around like the Polar Express. I guess that's a Christmas movie. I've never seen it, but they went around through the different areas of the building and got little trinkets. They got stuff from each CTE. They took pictures with Santa, whatever, and someone's trying to get me to incorporate another couple set of 3rd graders from a neighboring county. And it was truly a great day. I dressed up as the conductor. My own daughter didn't even realize it was me, so it must have worked. But the best part that ended my day, some little girl walked up to me. She goes, "This is the most magical place in the world," and she truly meant it. And I'm like, I'm out. There's nothing more I can do after a child says something, and that's why we've all got into education or into that part because of those kids. But anytime you guys are out that way, even if I'm not there, somebody will show you around. I can promise you, because there are great things happening. But I would love to offer whatever Mr. Hiley and Mrs. Miller would want to partner up with, because anything that we can do for kids, whether Tyler, Wetzel, it's something good that we can do for them.
Well, we certainly appreciate you allowing our students to come up there. It's been wonderful for them, and I'm sure the numbers will increase as they know more about the welding and especially electrical and the welding nursing. So.
It's you really know if you believe it or not if you send your own kid. And right now, I know there are 3 educators' kids in the building right now, just in Wetzel County. So, if I didn't believe in it, I probably wouldn't send my own child there. But that's how much I believe, and see how much it's worthwhile for them to go in there and get that. And like I said, he talks about it. He doesn't talk about school. He's a junior for Pete's sake. We don't talk, but he's excited about what he's doing next, and that's something that you can't fake. So,
Very good. Thank you
if
very
you ever
much.
have questions, call me, talk to Mrs. Kimball, and like I said, you guys are more than welcome whenever you're out there. So you don't need to call and make a reservation. It's an open invitation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Very, very much.
Okay, let's move back to C, and we have, do I have a motion to go into executive session regarding student control?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have to say the number?
To-
Okay, a second on that?
Second.
Larry seconded. All those in favor of going into executive session, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Time in 7:22. Okay, so how are we Okay, we have, made the motion and seconded and voted to come out of executive session. Mr. Hiley, do you have something to,
Yes, I would like to recommend student control number 82724 under item 3. As per state school law, WV 69A4, that student control number 82724 be expelled from Tyler County Schools for 365 days.
do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Diana made the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Andy seconded that. All those in favor of the expulsion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay. We'll move on to, approval of the minutes of the August 19th, 2024 regular meeting. Do I have a motion? Larry made the motion. Scott seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the August 19th meeting, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Okay, motion carried. Okay, we've done the presentations. We're on to delegations.
We have no delegations this evening.
Okay, communications.
Nothing under communications.
Superintendent's report.
Yeah, under superintendent's report, I have two things I'd like to talk about tonight. The first one is our bus incident procedures and policy. What I shared with you all maybe a couple meetings ago was Mr. Davis's procedures that he's going to carry out when we do have incidents or accidents on the bus. So what we have done since then is I've drafted a policy, and Mr. Davis last week handed it out to all drivers. He's going to give them some time to look over it, red pen it, change some things, see what they like, don't like about it. Then we'll gather that information and make those changes. And then what I'll do next will be present that to the board as a policy for a 2-week review. So that then will be the actual policy. So his procedures are in place. This policy will mirror those procedures and kind of define what all those things are, and then give those drivers input to have a look at it too. Beginning of school report.
Can I ask questions about that, though?
Absolutely.
So what's the difference between a procedure and a policy?
A procedure is something that, let's say like the transportation director or a principal, that's something that they create and they expect their people to do. A policy is something that the board votes on and has say in what that looks like, and we like to get like the drivers involved in things like that, but that's the difference. Policies are voted on by board members. Procedures are things that are put in place by principals or administrators in the county.
Procedures more or less, at least I look at it as if an accident would occur or absences,
Right.
procedures, who to report to and how to do it, and policies actually is, for me, as a policy, I take that as the employer, Tyler County Schools, sends the message to the employer is what we expect from them. At the same time, in return, we, as employers, understands where Tyler County Schools stand.
So
That's just my perspective.
procedures would be part of a grievance hearing, but policy, like if there was a grievance or an issue where personnel didn't think what we were doing was right, if we had a policy in place, then that would go a lot farther than just if we had just procedures.
Okay, because I went back and looked, and I already found like 5 or 6 policies, and one of them is school bus security and safety systems. And I was wondering if you could just add whatever it is we want to do under that, or do we have to come up with a whole new policy?
That would be something I would ask our attorney, because I know you can amend policy to add things, which a board can
I was just
do.
trying to think what would be easier
Yes.
for with the bus drivers.
I guess it'll depend on how different it is from those policies that are already in.
We can't change the scope of it. That's-
Right.
Okay.
And also, I think we'd still have to go through the 2-week
Regardless.
Yes.
Review regardless.
And
so-
then maybe some flags and go back
Yeah.
for another 2 weeks.
That's right.
Absolutely.
As long as they're a part of the discussion, I think it's
Absolutely.
very important. I sat on those committees myself and over the years driving heavy equipment, so I think it's very important. In this way, listen, I was a bad boy 5 times in 36 years, and it's not fun to sit there on a Saturday and get 0 pay, So it's not fun. You just wait your
So
time
the
and
last,
go on.
the last thing I wanna say is, I mean, I think it's great if they started a policy and they're letting everybody comment on it. But this is my opinion, but I would hope that some of the bus drivers would actually get to sit down and think out of the box. I mean, especially the ones that are out on those ridges.
Sure.
And they know, they're the experts, they're seeing what's out there and they know. And so, and they have to think too, oh yeah, I had an accident, but it was really icy and slippery and it couldn't have been helped. I mean, there's all kind of different situations. So you don't want a policy like, well, that's too bad. This is their 3rd time and this is what you have to do.
Sure.
So I know things like that have to be careful. And so I'm hoping that they'll actually have some of those guys that are way out there in the worst roads.
Almost all of them.
Well,
Yes, I know.
Every,
I used to do homebound. There's
Covered
some
all
places
of them.
worse than others. I've been all over the county. So I'd like to really see them actively involved. And that's happy with.
100%. Because are we not procedures in place already? If a
Yeah, we have
road is
procedures in-
flooded or
Yes.
snow or
Yeah.
they have the option to refuse.
Yep.
the route?
That's correct. Yep. That's one of those policies.
Right, thank you.
Anything
Gabe?
else about that? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does anybody else have any? Okay.
Beginning of school report. We had a great first day. Our goal is to make sure everyone's here, kids are smiling, people are happy. We feed them, we get them introduced to their teacher, and everybody makes it home. That's the day one goal for
Did it
all
happen?
school systems. Yes, it happened.
Woohoo!
But we're getting settled in now. We are starting diagnostics in most grades to see where our kids are at. And from those diagnostics, the teachers will look at where do we go next with instruction, what those groups may look like for intervention, and different things like that. So that's kind of where we're at right now at the beginning of school. I was at Sistersville. I was at all schools the first day. I seen 0 criers, which is always a great thing.
That is a
And
good
then I was at Sistersville last week when preschool came, and no criers. So if you want to change your day, just go sit in a kindergarten classroom. That'll make you happy. So we're getting those kids in as we speak. So that's where we're at the beginning of the year. There's always going to be some hiccups when you're running a system where there's so many different moving parts. But I feel like in all we had a good first few days of school, and I'm looking forward to the year. So I appreciate that. I appreciate our principals. I appreciate everyone in the county office who makes that happen. A lot of people think that what do you do in the summer times? Well, honestly, in the central office and for principals, that's usually the busiest time of year because we're getting ready to start school, and there's a lot of detail that goes into making sure everything's in place and ready to go.
Would you like to mention the suicide prevention, bullying?
Yeah, we did. We had Michelle Toman come in, and I can never Barry is the other lady's name, who she's Prevent Suicide West Virginia. She runs that. We had them come in these first few days and meet with all of our middle school students and high school students, and I felt like it went very well. And then after they had met with all the students, we had our steering committee, which is myself, Mrs. Byers was there, some really teachers that are really into that, and looking at what our vision, our goals will be in our plan for prevention, postvention, in the matter of time when suicide or things like that happen. And then also incorporated into that we're looking at bullying. So we are looking at, what definitions are, trying to educate kids on what that is, and we're going to do the same thing with parents. So I don't know if you saw, right after we had that, we did post some things on social media about the presentation that was had. So I thought it went very well.
Good, I'm glad. Committee reports?
That's you guys. Anybody have any
Oh.
committees while we were?
I did talk to the library, and they have given me the date for the next meeting in Sistersville, so I will be attending it.
You know, as far as the the clinicals that they bring in their health department, if I remember correctly, it was 26. That's Ritchie, Pleasance, Tyler, and Wetzel. All share their education down there. So, the drugstores, the hospitals, the doctors, easy cares, and all that.
Mr. Hott does a great job down there.
He does a fantastic job. Fantastic.
Okay, moving on, if you have any reports, bring them. By the next one, I should have a report from Sistersville Library. Okay, project updates.
Project updates. We are finishing up the terrazzo flooring at the high school. Like I said, it is a process. They're there tonight scrubbing. I believe everything is poured now, and that they're going to do this round. And then all they have to do is sand and finish. I would say that they'll be out of there this week as far as the flooring goes. We are working through some deliveries of big steel for the back. That should be coming within the next week or so. We're coordinating like full gym usage now should be coming up within the next week or so for practices for sure. And then once we get the basketball season, there'll be the only thing that there will be a limited occupancy in the mezzanine, because the last thing they're going to do is put in the stairs to the second floor. So you have to have two means of egress, or you can only have 50 people. And I said usually 50 people in the mezzanine. We usually don't have that many up there in the high school anyway, so not going to be that big of an issue. But as far as some of the stuff, they gave us some dates, for the final pieces of it to come in. We were looking at November to open up everything. It looks more like the end of December. January is more of a logical date for that, just because of lead times on steel, and there was something else that popped up that the lead times to get. I don't understand that, but I just want it done. You know what I mean? So should be functional by basketball season to utilize the entire gym space.
How's the practice sharing and gym time as squads in middle schools?
It's been an adjustment, but they've shared well, and we have been able to utilize half of the high school gym. So the high school has been practicing volleyball a lot in there. So other than that, it's been going well. There's only one middle school, high school volleyball meet that overlapped in scheduling, and I think they've already made arrangements to fix that. So,
Has there been a schedule made yet? I mean, it was requested that the schedule be made for the winter, spring usage of the gymnasium.
usually what happens, like for practices,
Yeah, to talk about
usually
girls,
what
basketball,
happens-
boys,
yeah, usually we'll
cheerleaders,
set that, like-
archery.
the coaches will sit down probably October and sit down and make sure that's all worked out.
Thank you.
Okay, any other project updates?
No,
All right, staff reports,
nothing under staff reports.
financials.
Mr. Davis is in Colorado, so I'm guessing there's nothing
I
going
saw
on.
that. I am jealous. Okay, policy reviews. We had 4 policies on review. We had board member orientation, board member compensation and expenses, JITC alternative education, and KF engaging parents, families, students, business, and community in the education. Do I have a motion to accept those policies?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, discussion. Do we have any discussion? Do you have any questions about any of the changes that we made on those policies?
I do. I wanted to know about the alternative school. Am I allowed to talk to somebody in the audience?
Sure, if you want.
Our expert here, Mr. Morris. The only thing I questioned on the alternative school was they're taking the off-site out. It looks like there might be a full-time teacher, and I think having one person, I think that's really good. We're fortunate with the students that we had in the program. But I know part of it talked, about some safety or some issues and why they're in there. If it's on the school campus, then because I taught this all last year with 4 others, I feel like it's going to be more like a long-term ALOP for them. But you're the expert, you're the principal, and I know that you do what's best for our students. So if for some reason there's a full-time teacher and you do have it there, I'm sure you're going to work out however that's going to be. I also wondered, do we have anybody in alternative school right now?
We have students in ALOP temporarily.
Okay,
But
until this gets worked out.
yeah, and so that and for 30 years, that's what ALOP served to as well, is for long-term suspensions and expulsions. So when we went to the drawing board last school year, because we wanted to do something off-site that we felt would be better, especially as we started to see kids' behaviors have changed a lot in 30 years. I think that's still something, working with Mr. Hiley and Mr. Winters, that we would prefer, but it's just a matter of, that's a tough sell for personnel. As
It is,
an individual.
and if you don't have a student,
Yeah,
you
then
have a full-time person, what do you do? I'm sure there's just,
we did, we've have coordinated some effort to communicate with multi-county, too. We're still kind of trying to figure out if that's a possibility. Because, biggest thing is we want it to be, obviously it's for discipline, but we want it to be restorative too. Ideally, we want to get our kids back into regular education setting where they can be successful.
and we were able to do that.
We were able to do that, so I think it's, it can work. It's just, everything's kind of have to align perfectly for it, and I think that we had 5 people that thankfully were willing to work through those hurdles with us, and we don't have that this year. I'm very honest. Not that, it's just.
It's gonna continue to be tweaked, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But if you're happy with how this is written up, and if you want that ability to.
Yeah, I think the policy, doesn't define us that it has to be on-site school. I think it can still be off-site.
Yes.
The way it's written.
It can be.
Can be.
It can be, but
I
it
think
gives you more
we took that wording out so that it didn't have to be.
Yes.
Because then if we don't have a place to send a student, then we're kind of stuck.
Yes.
Yes.
And going back, the only question I have, it's got my attention, if there is a student, are we looking to put a full-time position, or are we going as we were in last year was the first year for it, correct?
Last year was the first year for off-site.
Off-site.
And we were fortunate to have, 5 retired teachers that were willing to.
Yeah, and I could see some, the food process of it, and eating and the transportation. I could see some, where you have some concerns there. But being a full-time person, if we were to put a full-time person, and we would have 0 students attendance,
Yeah.
what are we doing with the personnel?
So I don't know that we would right now that we would add a person. Mr. Jones is the ALOP teacher, and we have the other teachers come in and maybe we'll work with kids on math or work with kids on So different teachers come in throughout the day. He goes out and does his special education classes that he's assigned to. So also, there's always someone in ALOP. Now it would be a student by student basis. Now if ALOP was overloaded and we had kids that were needed another teacher, we would probably sub that teacher, or I don't think it's right now we want to hire one teacher as the alternative ed teacher.
Personally, I don't feel there's a need
No.
for that, and I mean, I'm hopeful that we don't have to resort to that, as often or frequently. I want our kids in our building.
Oh, absolutely. That's where they belong. That's where they belong.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've had a motion and a second and discussion. So all those in favor of passing these 4 policies, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, athletic schedules. Larry made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Diana seconded. Any discussion on the athletic schedules that we have before us? Okay, then all those in favor of approving these 3 schedules, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, approval of requests.
Approval of request, personnel request. Mrs. Miller has asked that Tyler County Schools agree to go into a memorandum of understanding with West Virginia University that allows Tyler County to partner in the M3T project, to share math teaching improvement to help support participating math teachers across the state. The teacher who's a part of that right now is Michelle Weekly, who we hired in the middle school. She's been a part of that M3T. Pretty much lead math teachers in the state go around and show other teachers, some tips, some tips and tricks to help them out. So we would ask that we were allowed to partner with them to allow her to continue to do that.
Okay, you got one more. Oh, I have one more.
You do have one more, I'm sorry. Mrs. Walton would like to request permission to contract Carol Zambati. She is a speech pathologist. She works with West Liberty University as a BCBA. We have had a couple students who have moved in with significant behavior issues, and just for her to come down and show our teachers maybe some ideas and things that would help them. So just kind of a one-time thing where she comes down and helps us out.
Okay, do I have a motion? Did we already do the motions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve these personnel requests?
Make a motion.
Andy made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Larry seconded. All those in favor, or do we need a discussion on those? I'm sorry. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. It's approved. On to trip requests.
Under trip request, Mr. Jones, the baseball coach, is asking for permission to take the Tyler Consolidated High School baseball team to Myrtle Beach to play in the Mingo Bay Classic. The trip will be April 20th through 25th, and the team will participate in fundraisers to raise the money for the trip.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve that trip request? Diana made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Larry seconded that. All those, do we need discussion on that? Okay. All those in favor of approving the Mingo Bay Classic trip, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passed. Other requests.
Yes, under other requests, Doug Long has asked permission to have the main street cruisers to allow the parking, or to use the parking lot at the softball, in the softball bathrooms at Tyler State High School on May 4th, or with a rain date of May 18th for a car show. This is for the oil. These next two are for, I'm sorry, the next one. Yeah, the next two are for the Oil and Gas Festival coming up. The band boosters have asked that we allow Mr. Perky to come in the Blacktop area and sell T-shirts for the Bandorama, and John Church with Kona Ice Truck to also come set up on those days to help the band. And Mandy Fetty has agreed to oversee both of those events during our band competition. D is Madison Meadows is asking for Mia Meadows to cross county lines to attend Tyler County Schools. And E is Abigail Brady, an education student at WVUP, is requesting field placement at Tyler County Schools this semester. And I would ask approval of those.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve these other requests?
I'll make a motion.
Andy made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Scott seconded that. Any discussion on any of these?
So is Abigail Brady a student teacher?
Yes.
And she'll be at, like, the high school? I'm just curious. I'm glad we're getting a student teacher.
Just asked to get placed, right?
Yeah, she just to get placed in Tyler County. I don't know that she's been. Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad we're gonna have a student teacher.
Okay, anybody else have anything they'd like to ask? Okay, then, let's take a vote. All those in favor of approving the other requests, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motions carry. Personnel.
There are no resignations submitted after publication. So we're on to number 2, resignations. Lindsay Baker resigns from her position as substitute aide. And Madison Meadows resigns as her position as the Social Studies Fair Coordinator at AIB. And those are effective immediately. And I'd ask for approval of those.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve these resignations?
So moved.
Scott moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Diana seconded. Any discussion? Okay, then all those in favor of accepting these resignations, say aye. Opposed? No. Okay, those resignations are approved. On to employments, transfers, and rescissions.
First, I'd like to ask that D be struck from the agenda. A, transfer Valerie Northcraft from her position at Tyler Consolidated Middle School Secretary to Secretary at the Bus Garage. Employ Linda Lowther as Custodian 3 at Tyler Consolidated High School, effective immediately. Transfer Deb Doig from her position at 3rd grade at AIB to 6th grade at TCMS for the 25-26 school year. Ms. Doig had bid on the position that we had open. She was the successful applicant. Because school was started, we've asked that she stay in the position that she is in this year. So she would start that 6th grade, 7th, 8th grade job next year at the middle school. E, employ Scott Walls, head girls basketball coach at Tyler Consolidated High School, effective immediately. And then F, employ Michaela Shamblin and Anna Griffith as substitute teachers pending their CBI. And then G, employ Mamie Blatt as a substitute custodian, effective immediately. And I'd ask approval for those.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept those employments and transfers? Scott moved. On those, do I have a second?
I will second it.
Larry seconded. Do we have any discussion on the employments or transfers?
I would like for executive session, please, and personnel.
Sure. Do I have well, Larry made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Andy seconded. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? No. So we will go into executive session at 8:04.
Thanks.
Okay, we have made the motion, seconded, and voted to come out of executive session. There's no motions on the floor from that executive session. So we are moving on to,
Got it.
oh, we didn't do that? Oh, okay, sorry.
Scratch the.
Okay, we made the motion, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we made the second, we went into executive session, so now we are voting on the employment and transfers that are listed above. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, the motion has been approved. Or the employments and transfers have been approved. Okay, we're moving on to other personnel. Nothing? Okay, let's go to the payment of the bills. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
Let's pay him.
Scott made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Andy seconded. Any discussion on the payment of the bills? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the payment of the bills has been approved. Okay, requests for agenda items for the next board meeting.
It's not gonna be a request, but with the new attendance policy, or the new attendance, with the 10 days, what is it, 10 days, you can miss up to 10 days per semester versus without, right?
10 days.
Total for the
Period.
year. But you can take those 10 per semester, where before it was 5 a semester. How was that?
It was.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, are we in line as far as policies, as far as attendance?
So I don't know that the state has come out with the final,
Okay.
the final policy. I do know I've asked Mrs. Walton to come and present to you all once
Okay.
they do. So maybe the next meeting we'll have it in place,
Okay.
but we will make sure our policies are in line with it.
But it is no more than 10?
Yes, it's 10 for anything.
Correct.
That's it.
No educational leave.
He's going to a training on that training this week, I think.
He's going to a training this week.
Oh, really?
So,
Okay, good, that
that
should
should answer our question.
We'll
Yep.
get the answer, yeah.
Okay, any other requests for agenda items for the next board meeting? Okay, and you have till right before the board meeting, if you have any requests, you can always call and Stacy will take care of those for you. Okay, the next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held Monday, September 16th at 7 o'clock here at the board office on Dodd Street in Middlebourne. Do I have a motion?
So I have to do that one by phone. And the last time, Andy, by phone, there were like 3 or 4 different times where people sounded like robots. But I know now, Mr. Holly, to use the same code that you sent me in that. So I will be by phone.
We'll look at that. We'll see if the recording today did it, and then we'll use that as a judgment to see if it's the phone or the.
That happened to me when I was in Florida for that principal's meeting a couple of times. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was brief.
Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make the motion.
Second.
Scott seconded it. Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It carried, and this meeting has been adjourned.